meat and curry, I'm your man. Cause how we all lose it is a mystery. It's like the changing of our wardrobes from a dire history. But it's the one making us not stop. 50 kilograms is all we've got to drop. La 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 la, la 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 la.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's 0% Drop podcast. The podcast that's meant to be weekly, but Sam James keeps having children. So it's now maybe monthly, maybe bi-monthly, maybe quarterly.
Maybe even annually.
Today, yeah, lovely. Joining us today, we've got a very special guest, the king of the Catalan region, Carl Radley. Carl, hello.
How are we doing? Thank you for having me.
You good?
Very well indeed. I've spent this week trying to catch up on sleep and get over jet lag. So I was lucky enough to have a couple of weeks off and went abroad. And we got back late Sunday. And yeah, between myself not sleeping, the kids not sleeping, it's been a slog. But I'm over the worst.
I can imagine. And now it's going to be even more of a slog having to talk to us.
This is the highlight of my week.
Oh, lovely, yeah. Carl came on to the 50 kg Drop podcast as he runs a rival podcast called the Warrior Weight Loss Podcast.
I think we complement each other.
Yeah, I agree. We're just doing God's work, that's all. And we thought it would be good to bring Carl on because Carl's been on a sober journey that I'm sure he can talk through a bit more than us, and bring him on to the 0% Drop podcast so we can discuss all things sobriety. So how are you getting on with your sober journey, Carl?
Much better than I thought it was going to go, to be honest with you. And this is actually the first time that I'm talking about it. So I really appreciate the opportunity. But I just checked and I'm just under 2 weeks off of hitting 12 months, which is obviously a big milestone.
Oh, that's wicked.
And I'm very happy with that. And considering it only was meant to be for a couple of months and it's now turned into pretty much a lifestyle. So I don't know if you want me to talk about, my reasoning for it and how that's been.
Would you like to know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, nearly a year ago, just off 2 weeks, I decided I was going to stop drinking for a while because, as you mentioned, I have the Weight Loss Warrior podcast. I have coaching that I do. I also have a full-time job, and my hours to do coaching and to work on the podcast are really outside of my normal day. So it's either very early in the morning or very late at night. And I found that if I was having a couple of beers during the week or any time, really, it was harder for me to get up at 5 a.m. and do, use those golden hours to work on the podcast and coaching. And the same in the evening. If I was having a couple of beers, I wasn't really motivated or interested in working on the things I said I was going to do. So I made a commitment. I said, right, I'm going to stop drinking just for a couple of months and just see if it's useful, if it helps me, if it allows me to focus a bit more on what I want to do and what I want to achieve. And that was in the May. And at the end of June, I had a wedding. I was going to a friend's wedding here in Spain. And I just thought, right, if I can just get to that, perfect. And I'm sure I'll have a few drinks at the wedding. And then as it come around, on the actual wedding day, I hadn't said I wasn't going to drink, but I got there and I got chatting to another friend who was actually my coach, and he doesn't drink. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to drink. I don't need to. I don't feel the need to have a drink. So I got through the wedding and was pretty proud of myself. I was like, wow, it's the first wedding I've ever been to as an adult and not got absolutely smashed. And, that was a big achievement. But then a few weeks later, we had an annual fiesta where we have all the people in the neighborhood get together. We have a weekend of parties and food and drink. Just everyone gets together. It's absolutely brilliant. But again, it's from Friday night till Sunday. Everyone's on the beers. And it arrived and I was like, you know what, the Friday, I'm not going to have a drink. And I didn't. I felt fine. I enjoyed it. I actually felt more confident by not doing it. It was very empowering. And so I went through that whole weekend. I was like, okay, so that's 2 big events now that I've managed to do without drinking. But I had my trip to the UK coming up in August, and one of my best mates' 40th birthdays, all the lads together, people had, we usually get together, have a good drink together. And it come to his party and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to drink. And so all of these events that were happening where I always had drunk in the past, I was managing to get through them without even worrying about it. And each time it was kind of building my strength and making me realize that I don't need to have a drink to have a good time and to enjoy myself. And then it cut to my birthday, went through that in the October, got to Christmas, didn't drink, New Year's, didn't drink. And then throughout this year, I think, I'm trying to think the last big event, I've got a stag do coming up in 2 weeks for my brother, but I'm not even thinking about drinking, you know, it's just not it's not even on my mind. It's not like, oh, should I drink? Shouldn't I drink? Do I want to? I'm just looking forward to the stag do, you know, and I think that's a big turning point for me that I'm looking forward to things now and not fearful or feeling like I'm going to be judged or that I'm missing out because I'm not going to drink. So
Let's talk through that. So I'm for bloody hell, it's the end of April. Nearly 5 months. No, 4 months in this stint. What you've just said there makes a lot of sense. I'm in the same sort of thing. I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm feeling great, got loads of clarity, that sort of stuff. But let's talk through these events. What was going through your brain when you were turning up to them? Maybe the pre-bit I get, because it's kind of like, oh, birthday, wedding, maybe I could have a good bit of time. I've just gone through a wedding and it was like, didn't really know anyone there. And I was a bit like, usually I'd have a few drinks, just network around, get into people's faces, have a chat with people, get to know people, that sort of stuff. Whereas I didn't. I kind of like then tried to play how do I play this? And I've done loads of stuff sober. I'm totally fine going to football now, totally fine going to the pub, totally fine doing that sort of stuff. But I found the weddings and the big occasions really hard. What have you done to kind of counteract that on the day, or did you feel the same sort of thing?
yeah, but there was part of me that kind of missed it. So don't get me wrong, I love the feeling of being drunk, having a few drinks. Love a beer, like I love beer. Don't get it's not like I all of a sudden woke up one morning stopped enjoying having a few pints. It was a choice. The choice had to come first and the commitment. But the first thing I did to actually kind of set myself up was I wasn't sure if I was going to drink or not, but I drove and decided to drive and even offered, once I got there, a couple of people a lift home if they needed it. So I kind of played myself out of the game, which it gave me that excuse if I needed it because there were lots of conversations like, oh, do you want to get a drink? I was like, oh no, because it's a free bar. So they're like, oh, what you drinking? I was like, oh, just a Coke. They get those funny looks, like people are like, oh, are you an alcoholic? And that seems to be like the self-judgment when people look at you like, oh, you don't drink. Like, poor, like were you beating people up or something? You know, what were you doing that made you stop drinking? And so I had the perfect excuse. Oh no, I'm driving. I'm going to give matey a lift home over there and do that. So I didn't feel like I had to explain myself or my personal reasons, but also because the reason I stopped drinking, yeah, I'm going to say I'm actually quite proud of the fact that I wanted to commit to focusing on my coaching, and it also opens a conversation by saying, "Oh, you know what? I stopped drinking because I'm a coach and I wanted to focus on that." And people are like, "Oh, okay, fair enough." So I kind of had pre-prepared like ways to talk about it, and then on a personal level, there wasn't any dancing. It was a daytime wedding, so that was the other thing. You know, like we've been talking about this during the week, like like certain things in a wedding where people usually get a bit leery, and then everyone's ties around their head on the dance floor, and you can feel a bit self-conscious about that. And there wasn't any of that, so it was kind of like a very easy wedding for me to navigate compared to probably one back in the UK.
For me, I totally resonate with everything you're saying there, but that kind of I've given up to lose weight. My goals are really aligned there. I've given up sugar, flour, caffeine, and alcohol at the same time, and I'm sticking to that. And the weight's flying off me, so I'm doing what I want. But I did sit there thinking, this is a wedding, and I really enjoy drinking at weddings, and I had that battle in my head. The dancing was definitely a battle, and then it was am I enjoying myself? Was the bit that was going through my head. Am I actually? And then I'm like, am I just constantly putting too hard on myself, which is a question that I'm constantly asking. Are you just constantly in a diet phase to prove that you can lose weight or to try and lose weight? Why don't you just forget about it for a bit and enjoy yourself? Do you know what I mean? And all this was kind of going through my head when I was there. I took the suits to be taken in. I didn't get back in time. I then had this old suit that I haven't worn in ages on with a massive shirt. And the last thing I want to do is be on a dance floor. And then they were dragging me up.
Sweeping the floor with your blazer, though, cleaning up from as you go.
Yeah.
It's so ill-fitting.
Yeah. It was more the shirt was like a bed sheet. That's
It sounds like it reminds me of when I went to my work experience interview wearing my dad's suit.
yeah. It wasn't dissimilar to that. And I didn't know anyone, and there was a couple of big characters there that I would have normally tried to talk to and this sort of stuff. But there wasn't really a mingling bit. It was all just kind of in your personal tables and this sort of stuff. And I felt a bit uncomfortable. But I am in a weird situation with booze where I'm like you. I've got so much more time on my hands to do stuff like this. I've got some bigger plans for what's after the podcast and what can come next and website ideas that we'll talk to you offline about, Carl. And work-wise, I'm flying. I have got there's no anxiety in my head. Everything's clear. I've got total clarity. And now I'm sitting here kind of going, well, maybe this isn't a bad life. But then there's still a big part of me that's like, a couple of beers are fantastic though. And I'm the most torn bloke on earth, I think, right now with alcohol. But I don't know if you experienced that at all.
It's not at the moments, but I was probably expecting it to be like the wedding, like the fiesta mayor that we have, like my mate's 40th. These were the big events that I was expecting it probably, and probably gave it much more thought to. It's when a mate pops around on a Thursday afternoon after work and the sun's shining, and we sit out in the garden and get him a beer and then don't have one myself. It's those moments, those impromptu ones. I go for a walk with the missus and we stop off somewhere and go have a drink. It's those times where I miss having a beer more. But then at the same time, I'm not going to say that like I've found enjoyment in other places, but I've realized that it isn't necessarily the alcohol itself that makes it good. And having a non-alcoholic beer, I still kind of feel like I'm having a drink. So I think that helps. I think you go through a period of like being torn, completely torn, and you can even go to some of these events. Like you said, this wedding you went to, just because you've stopped drinking, it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to enjoy being there as a non-drinker. Quite a few people go through many events feeling miserable about it or not enjoying it because you're so used and conditioned to enjoying it in a certain way and having a few drinks. And part of the culture of a wedding usually is to go and get drunk for a lot of people. And if you've been doing that for every wedding, every event like that, and then all of a sudden that's not part of it, it's kind of like you're taking a big slice of that event out and you've got that gap to fill. And I think you can be a bit lost for a while trying to fill it.
I've been explaining this on the other podcast to Mike, who's the sugar-free guy that we've been dealing with. I'm playing in a darts league at the moment, and this is the first season I've properly played in a league, but I turn up to pubs and I get this horrible anxiety feeling. And I had the same thing at the wedding. And I think it could be linked to meeting new people in that environment usually comes with a drink that's then not making me have some sort of weird fear and this sort of stuff. But I can't put my finger on it at the time. It's like a chest tightens, it's that sort of stuff, which is really bizarre. I get it in like loud places, but it's fine. I'm fine at football, but it's pubs mainly, pubs and weddings and stuff. And maybe it's like being around new people seems to be the challenge. But yeah, I'm kind of
had a thought. Think about that. Sorry, I cut across it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's here. I really don't. I've been going deep into all of it, and I don't get it. I just don't understand it, and I'm trying to work it all out. To be honest, it's so fucking weird, and I am sitting there constantly thinking, "Why are you doing this? Why are you feeling like this?" And when I'm playing darts, it's bad to the point where I'm struggling to play. I'm still weirdly playing all right, but I'm like,
and it takes over the enjoyment of it because the focus is more on that than.
Yeah, maybe it's just there was one pub that was like crazily loud, and just I wanted to get out of there as soon as I got in there, and I kind of got through the mat bloke's hand and walked out. But yeah, I'm trying to work it all out, and I think what Mike's explaining is that actually this period is good for you to learn what where the real issues are really, or what you need to fix and change. But I could do with someone telling me what it all means. I'm like,
no, of course. And if we got time quickly, like 2 minutes, something that's really helped me is, I think it's called the model. I don't think it has another name, but it's basically the circumstance, thought, feeling, action, result. And it's all about understanding that the emotions you experience don't come from the circumstance. but sitting between the emotion and the circumstance is a thought that drives the emotion. So if you, for example, like, what is the emotion you feel in these situations when you're at the darts? And you said anxious, but is that the emotion you'd use, the one word you'd use to describe the feeling, how you felt?
It's tightening of the chest.
Okay.
Heart rate's increased.
So what's the emotion?
Maybe a bit. It feels like anxiety. That's what it feels like.
So we'll say anxiety, and so quite often there's different emotions there. The circumstances, you're in a really loud place with lots of people where you'd normally drink. You're feeling anxious. What are you thinking in that moment? What is the thought there that's creating that anxiety?
I don't really know, but I noticed that I'm picking up more on the people around me and that sort of stuff. There's some bloke who was standing close to where we were playing, just staring and watching. But I wasn't really saying anything. I was just conscious that he was there and being a bit like jittery, which isn't really me, because I'll usually just walk up and just go, come, get out of the way, or do whatever. So there's like this like strange, ooh, what's going on type thing. It's weird.
Of course. But if you can identify that thought, or even do it around the other way, think about the emotion. How would you rather feel in that moment when you're playing darts? How would you like to feel? What emotion would you like to feel?
Totally relaxed.
Relaxed.
Yeah, relaxed. Honestly, there's a little Luke Littler inside of me somewhere.
I don't doubt it. I slightly older, but
it's like
no less
same love
talented,
for kebabs. Yeah.
Both on the vapes.
So if you want to feel relaxed, give yourself a moment, or give yourself some time to think, what do you need to be thinking when you're there to feel relaxed? Because the circumstance hasn't changed, but to change emotion, if you can change the thought, even if you don't identify what the thought is that's making you feel anxious, think about what do I need to be thinking in that situation? And you can do it even outside. You don't have to wait till you're there. Start rehearsing it in your head, because your brain doesn't know the difference whether you actually experience it or not. It's the same way that, like, you start thinking about something that was funny but happened years ago, and it starts making you laugh and you feel the same emotion. You can do it with all of them. Give yourself time to just have a little think about what it is.
It's like that Happy Gilmore's happy place.
Go to your happy place.
Yeah.
It works, but try it, because this is something that helps me as well. Like, if I'm in a situation where I don't like the emotion, I try and think to myself, what do I need to be thinking? Or who is someone I respect? What would they be thinking? How would they act? What would they be doing in this moment to feel the emotion you want to feel?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I think the wedding situation is more, I think there's a fear to go insular at a wedding, because it's meant to be like everyone's chatting, doing everything. And I was kind of fighting this, don't go into your shell. There was a couple of comments made as well, like, oh, sober, boring, blah, which kind of made me want to work out if that's actually affecting me, which made me go quiet for a little bit. And then I was being quiet, and then people are going, what's wrong with him? And you don't want to like drain the day, because it's not your day, right? But yeah, I get what you mean. I totally get what you mean. It's just, this is like and weirdly, I had it at school once during I did drama for GCSEs, and we had to do some play, and I got this crazy feeling, and then my heart rate went like through my chest. But it's the bit before that is the bit that I'm facing in these pubs, and I haven't had it since that point. I haven't had that before recently. And after all of that, you just think maybe I should just have a couple of lagers, get back into the swing of things, you know?
But should you, though? But should you?
I was going to say, do you when you play darts here, and I know you won't be at the moment, but I was going to say, obviously, you know, you're solely drinking water, sparkling water at the moment, right?
I was a sober chucker before. I was never a drinker.
Yeah, so you never drunk when you'd go to darts before?
I would socially, and I am 10 times better after a couple of beers. But yeah, it's not linked. I played a lot of darts sober.
So do you think when you're feeling like this, do you think it's where you're sober going there, or it's just the case, it's just something that's happened, something that's switched in, like, because what I'm saying is you played darts previously, like years gone by, right, where you was fine and you went in and you was chilled. Yeah,
I think it might be some sort of noise thing, because I also got the same feeling company do recently. Usually I kind of stick it to myself at the back and keep myself to myself, and then someone mentioned me and I got the same chest feeling, which was a bit weird, because I was meant to like walk up and do something. Yeah, I'm just sitting there like.
if you can't sort it, what about I don't know if this could help, but I used to be like very, very sick when I used to go on flights. So, but it was all a mental thing. It wasn't because of the movement or the turbulence on the flights. I would like get a lift to Gatwick or something, as soon as I got near Gatwick with my family when I was younger, I'd start being sick and start feeling sick. And then when I'd be in the air, like we flew to Dominican Republic when I was younger, and I literally just had a sick bag, like puking up the whole way. It was like a nightmare for my parents whenever we went on holiday when I was younger. And in the end, it was so bad, they took me to a hypnotist, and then I got hypnotized. I don't know what the mental thing was, but since I've been hypnotized, whatever that costs, I've never been sick on a flight since, apart from on the way back from Ibiza, but that was nothing to do with the nervousness or anything like that. So, but what I'm saying is,
bloody Spanish ice,
yeah.
That's what it was.
But no, what I'm saying is that if you can't get to the bottom of working out what it is, could that be a potential route for you to, obviously, I assume when they did the hypnosis, they're probably going to try diving down into what Cole said, like the emotion or the thought or whatever. They're probably going to try driving into that. But if it's something where they could hypnotize you, so subconsciously put you under, so that when you get in that situation, you are relaxed, that could be something just to make you feel better.
On the world stage, boys. Yeah, that could
be
me.
You probably
Ali
don't know
Pally.
this, but I did foundation level hypnotherapy a few years ago.
Let's go.
Be
Let's
more
do it
than
right
happy
now.
to give it a go.
Oh, it wasn't you that hypnotized me, was it?
No,
stop bombing, Stan.
But I think it's a great point, Sam, and I do think that there's so many things you can do to look at it, because if you disassociate it from the fact about whether you're drinking or not, like you said, sometimes the drink is like a mask for something else, and it gives you the opportunity to look at the actual things that are creating the true issue that you're experiencing. And alcohol isn't going to solve that issue or make the issue go away. All it does is just numb it. It makes it disappear for a short time, but that doesn't really solve it. And so if you look to actually solving it, I think, and you mentioned earlier about people saying things like, oh, there's a sober one and stuff, and it's really unhelpful, first of all. But then
to be fair, I don't take that on board. It's like, I get where they're coming from. I do. It's coming from a place like everyone should be having a good time. You can't be having a good time because they obviously don't know what it's like to be sober. That stuff doesn't really affect me. It's more that does make you go, am I being boring? And then you try and get yourself out of that. That's the only weird bit that comes with it. But I'm kind of used to that by now.
I don't know. I think that we talked about this a bit before, that people, they shine a mirror on them, so they project what they're feeling about themselves. And so because they could never imagine their life, or they're going to a wedding without drinking, they automatically assume just because you're doing it, you're being boring, or you're not having a good time, or you're not able to enjoy yourself, or there's something wrong with you. And it's really not the case. And the thing on the other side of that, which is really for me quite laughable sometimes, I'll be talking to someone, but like, why aren't you drinking? So I stopped, etc. X amount of months ago. So, like, you don't even drink at weddings and stuff? No, don't drink at all. No, what? No alcohol? No, nothing. And they're like, oh well, yeah. I don't drink much anymore either. And they completely change their tune. All of a sudden, they're from why don't you drink to being like, oh yeah, well, I don't. I try not to drink too much.
I don't think then people are being genuine.
No, but I think it makes them feel more comfortable in the situation.
Yeah, because it's like, oh well, I'm trying to find common ground with you by trying to sound that what you say is acceptable. But in my case, I much prefer to hear someone say, I had 15 pints last night. Do you know what I mean? And they're being truthful with me, and they're natural around me. I feel that makes the magnifying glass directly on you. They're trying to guess what you think they want to hear. Whereas for me, I'm a total pro drinker. I'm absolutely all for drinking. The thing for me is I'm trying to give up sugar, which is far harder than booze. And to be fair, in the wedding, I was staring at the desserts more than I was staring at drinks. That's the bit that I was fighting in my head. It wasn't alcohol. And I find you wouldn't have someone up going, yeah, do you know what, mate? I've really cut back on the cakes.
Yeah, and then looking at you, go, what? No cakes at all?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, just have a bit of cake. God, stick some ice in your mouth.
Gosh, you're boring.
Yeah, I think it's just a phase thing, to be honest. I'm not that worried about it, but it's. I've found the whole period very kind of therapeutic. I think the word is to try and work out what really is going on. Have you noticed any differences in your kind of journey at all with yourself?
So, I mean, the first one, the reason I stopped in the first place to be more focused, getting up in the mornings, much easier. My sleep quality, like sleep hygiene, is so much better. It was weird to begin with, like experiencing just tiredness, and I actually become like I quite enjoyed it. Just instead of being tired and hungover, and realizing it wasn't because of the alcohol and it wasn't a hangover, I was just physically and mentally tired. It was a weird feeling because I don't think I'd experienced it without it being accompanied by because I had a few drinks or being dehydrated from it. And being able to go to bed some nights just tired and sleeping really deeply and waking up the next morning, I absolutely loved it. And it actually encouraged me not to drink, I think.
I totally resonate with that. What about you, Sam? You're like way further down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it just made me think of on that when you two were talking, is that I had a hangover during the week this week from one night. We had the kids had Easter eggs left over. So I just quickly, you can get an Easter egg, and I put it into a bowl, and then I punched it or mashed it up so it's in smaller bits, took off the foil, and I sat and had like 3/4 of this dairy milk Easter egg. But it was like was watching a true crime documentary at like 10 at night. Had it then, and then I went up after that shower, cleaned my teeth, and went bed. I woke up the next day and I felt like groggy in the head, and it was like I obviously maybe a little bit tired. If my boy had woke up once in the night, or whatever. Plus, also I'd had that chocolate before bed, which I don't normally do. Like that's not something I'd normally do. And I woke up and I thought, oh, that felt a bit weird. But I obviously knew it wasn't a hangover. It was some kind of chocolate hangover. But that was very strange. But in terms of what you're saying, like what Cole said, I find getting up in the mornings a lot easier. I've always had quite a lot of energy and I like to train of a morning, but it's just the continuity and the consistency of being able to get up in the morning feeling fresh, feeling ready to go, and not drinking. Just the complete clarity, I think, is there. Like everything I'm doing at the moment, every decision I'm making, there's nothing to lean on. Say, oh yeah, well I was hungover when I thought about that, or when I was out, I was pissed when I replied to that, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing like that. But the complete clarity is what I would say. What you two discussed is crazy.
That's a big thing as well. Like I feel like I've got my own back a lot more because if I'm lucky, me and my missus, we don't really argue that much. But if we have a row or I say something or she gets to back up with me, if it was at a weekend time and I'd had a few beers, there'd always be in the back of my mind, was I being because I was drunk? Or was I, being a bit leery? Or was I not thinking? Or was I misjudging the situation? But now I know she's just wrong. I,
Yeah,
hopefully she didn't hear
absolutely.
me.
Yeah.
No, but
This is just you sober or drunk, Cole.
yeah. But I do genuinely think like the decision making I have and my thought processes about situations are probably more clear and I have much more confidence in those decisions. But the thing of the hangovers, that's absolutely spot on. Like feeling like I have actually got a hangover and realizing it's probably dehydration, especially like if I have a big pizza or something like that one night, waking up the next morning feeling really tired or heavy, bloated. I used to just think it was because of a beer, but then I think you become much more sensitive to other things like that, like the way you eat, and it encourages you to eat a bit better, I think, because then you realize by not drinking, if you feel more sensitive to what you're eating, how you're nourishing yourself, and you feel even better because you're eating good food and you're training more, you start to feel, I don't know, like everything's working like a well-oiled machine, like everything's working as it should be.
I've had to strip back everything. And I had this like reward system. If I worked out, I could eat more. If I worked out, I could probably slip in a bit of sugar in there or something like that, or have a drink, have a pint, have whatever. And not having that has made me realize how bad that was. So the first 2 months, I didn't do any real exercise, which then meant that I wasn't exerting myself to then treat myself with something else. And then I started introducing some exercise, and immediately I was like, what I thought was hunger is not hunger. It was me chasing that kind of reward. And I find that really weird, even now, where I'm trying to really up the exercise at the minute. I'm doing like 4 or 5 things a week. I come out of it and just go to bed, or come out of it, just carry on my normal day. I purposely don't eat if I work out in the morning for the whole morning, get to lunchtime. And by that point, I'm genuinely hungry, not this like superstitious thing that I had before, which is me chasing some weird reward. I find that's really helped to try and unwind this, because I'm a notorious overeater and like stress eater. And booze was all linked to that as well, because it would be like work week done, let's go and have 10 pints, relax, unwind. Wow, you've woken up, you don't feel too bad, go and drink some more. That's a success. Go and do that again. And I'm finding it really difficult to just be content. There's parts of my brain just like, get out there, cause some chaos, do something else. And I think that's why I'm jumping back into stuff like boxing, because it's like an exertion that's just trying to be quite painful in the same sort of space. But yeah, I find it so weird that my brain is constantly trying to chase some sort of high all the time, and trying to fix that has been a real pain in the ass.
I think
I don't
it's
think
so
I'm anywhere near it.
So, and when you get so used to like having that high from something, you take that out. And this is something I know not so much from the drinking, but more from the weight loss side of things. It's called transference, where people who have bariatric surgery and used food as a way to kind of cope with their emotions, you take that away from them, they can no longer eat because it makes them physically sick. So a lot of them start drinking, a lot of them turn to drugs, a lot of people still need that outlet and way of coping, because it hasn't solved the core problem. And I think from what you've said, it's a similar thing in terms of you stop drinking, it doesn't actually solve the certain things. It stops you stop drinking so you can lose weight and it assists things, but it also unveils and like pulls the curtain back on maybe other deeper rooted, I don't want to call them issues, but challenges you face. But it forces you to put them under a spotlight and look at them. And I think that in itself is probably the harder thing than even than just stopping drinking.
What about for you? 12 months, what's kind of next? What you thinking?
I don't have any plans to start drinking again. Now, I'm never going to say never. And even like on my holiday just now, we renewed our vows. And I'd said before going away that if I'm going to have a drink, maybe it'll be that day. Maybe get a bottle of champagne. Maybe we have a few drinks to celebrate. And on the day, it just didn't even occur to me. It wasn't like, and I think we have this idea of how celebrating an occasion should look, because either how we've always done it, or because of how society says it should look. You know, birthday, you go to a restaurant, you eat loads of food, you eat cake, you drink. Wedding, you get drunk. All of these things. It doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to. And so I'm starting to see now that if I do want to have a drink, I'm almost asking myself, but why do I want to? Like, what is so important about having an alcoholic drink right now? Why is it gonna, what's it gonna make better in this situation? And I haven't found a situation yet where I've come to the conclusion that having a drink is going to be better. So the stag do, my brother's wedding, just the summer in general, I really don't have any intentions to start drinking at all. And if anything, it's encouraging me to become healthier and focus on other areas where I could perhaps improve, like what's next kind of thing. You know, alcohol's kind of taken care of for now. What else do I want to do? Like, do I want to increase my stamina, my health, my cardio? What do I want to do? And so it's encouraged me to use it as a platform to do something better.
I think for me, it's just a very similar thing. It's like the priorities are shifted so that I'm focusing on them and not for me, like I'm in my 30s. I want to progress my career as fast as I can in the next 10 years into the direction that I want it to go into.
Mm-hmm.
And also increase the sort of income, revenue, life standards, that sort of stuff. And I think with drink, I can dampen that ambition quite easily. So for now, I'm very content that priority is much higher than having a good time and doing that sort of thing. So for me, it works quite well. What about for you, Sam? You've been obviously a lot longer.
How long is it for you, Sam, since you stopped drinking?
It's like, it must be like 930 days or something like that. It's 1,000 days in the summer, then 3 years in October. I know that's the dates on it. But yeah, my view is I'm in a situation now where I'm literally like I'm an excitable person anyway, but I'm just so every day I'm excited by not like cringy, but like when I get up, like I've got a real energy. I go to the gym, I go to work. Everything has improved in terms of like my family life at home, my relationship with my children, with my missus, even like my relationship with like my parents, my siblings. Everything is just going good at the moment. So I was in the same situation. I've not said I'll never drink again. And when I first started, I said I was just going to do 6 months, but it's just gone from there. And I don't know. There's this bit of me that really enjoys, like, like the 0% drinks. I like finding, like, go to a new place. I like finding new ones of them, and it's like go to a different place, try a different drink. Like when I went out to Spain, they had like all these Cruz Campo. They have all the Tostada beers. Just trying all different new ones. I mean, just going to places and still having a drink. And I suppose in terms of like the social events now, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a stag do in Belgium this year. Gonna go to Spain with my family. We're doing some bits in the summer where I'm actually looking forward to going to those events, and it's just for the event rather than thinking, oh, what am I gonna, you know, get? How drunk am I gonna get at that event? Basically, I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, I've just got a. In general, I'm just on a buzz at the moment. I don't know if it's to do with not drinking or what it is, but yeah, I'm just in a good mood all the time at the moment. So I think if the drinking would take away from that, so then why would I do that at present? Just at the moment, I'm just focused on enjoying life and moving forward, not drinking.
That's mega. I love that. And I haven't even touched on that, but my relationship with my kids is another big one. I feel much more present with them, and that's a big thing. I've also got someone in my family, very, very close to me, who's an alcoholic. But I don't like to kind of blame my decision to stop drinking on them, because I don't think it's connected. I honestly think that my decision to stop drinking is my own. But just knowing how having a problem with alcohol, and I always think that I've got one of those personalities where I could take anything to excess, and I have done in the past, whatever it was. I'm not someone who's got like a control button. If I start, I go, and I'll go to the end. So having that, people call it an addictive personality, but seeing what that can do and the damage it can do to somebody in later life, it kind of keeps me in my pen a little bit more, which I think is quite helpful. But like you say, you discover things and reasons and things you can enjoy in life that don't require alcohol. I'd say, Ian, to you, mate, just keep at it, keep going. Because like you mentioned a couple of things, like, not drinking and trying to enjoy yourself. But I reckon if you can find those couple of little things that allow you to still enjoy those things without drink, or not thinking that drink's going to cure it, then it can completely change your perspective, mate.
Yeah, I resonate with the point you made a minute ago about that kind of addictive personality. I definitely have an addictive personality, but I think mine's more, let's experience this at full volume. That's the way I think. So if it's drinking, it's let's have 20 pints and get completely blind drunk. If it's flipping cigarettes, let's do 30 a day. Let's get the real win out of this.
Yeah.
So gambling, let's not try and win a tenner, let's try and win 50 grand. So that's the way my crazy brain works. So having a period of time where I don't need to think about any of that has been really handy. And yeah, I'm with you. It's people close to me that have got a really bad relationship with alcohol. Mine's never been that bad. Like I know where my problems were, and then I'd stop. I'm not doing it from them. I just I want to be able to always be in check and always be in control of any habit that I have. And as I get older, in my 20s, I picked up every habit under the sun, and in my 30s, I've had to give them all up and to try and understand how to keep them in check. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to not go back to some of them. That's the thing. Some I really don't need. Gambling's one that I was the gambler that gambled and won, and then gambled until it was all gone. There was no win there. That was just moronic stuff. So I really don't need that in my life. But stuff like booze, I think there is a lot of occasions where I think I can improve life by incorporating that, but I couldn't do that in the body that I was in. I was too fat and too miserable to be doing anything, and that's the thing that I'm now trying to fix, and I'm going to reassess once it's off. But I am really enjoying the fact that I'm fitter. I boxed the other day, and I was like, no, I got a cross trainer, and did 10K on a cross trainer. When I was training for a marathon, that was really hard. I wasn't sweating until like kilometre 8, which is insane for me. Is like that. That's like mind blown where I was, and I didn't have any aches, pains, or anything. And all of that I'm really enjoying. So I'm going to enjoy that for the next few months. But I am on this like weird journey of. I think my advice would be having the ability to get in check is the bit, and I'm not sure I'm pro some of the alcohol-free language that's out there, which is there's never a good drinker, you'll die. This sort of stuff. I don't think it needs to be that drastic. I think it just needs to be I'm getting myself in check. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't judge anyone who still drinks. I don't talk shit about them. I don't like look down my nose at anyone who drinks.
But that's why I disagree with the I take it easy. I have a couple of days off here and there. Like, just enjoy your life. Like, I'm not judging you in the sense of me stopping, but that kind of persona where people have to say, "Oh yeah, no, I've done a sober sin. I've done it." I think it should be normal for every bloke to just have a little to get himself in check and have a little break for whatever they want to do, regardless of what it is. And there's this need in men to try and help other men through this stuff by jumping in their problems. I don't think you need to do that.
Spend half the time taking the piss out of them and half the time kind of backing them up and going to the other extreme. It's
yeah, just constantly take the piss out of me. I'm totally fine with that. Far more comfortable in that world than when you're trying to be nice. Call me a boring cunt. I'm fine with that. Cole, do you want to do this regularly? I think this would be a good.
I've enjoyed it, mate. Appreciate
Regular's difficult for us because Sam keeps having kids, but
I don't know. But now I found Cole as a new guest on it. I think it could be regular. I think it was you, Ian, that was the problem.
Good, yeah.
I'd be happy to. I enjoy talking about it. So I think it's an important thing. I think there's a lot more to explore. So yeah, definitely. I mean, you have a little chat, see if you want me to come back at some point.
He's adding a bit of Spanish sprinkle to the podcast, isn't he? I quite like it.
Exactly. We'll call it the 0% Drop International.
There you go. Sounds good. Absolutely brilliant. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Colin. Look, yeah, let's definitely do this regularly. Me and Sam are always up for a chat. We've got some interesting stuff coming up as well. We've got a 0% drop being brewed by a company. We want to do a live taste test for that. We're going to try and get Prime Mutton back to do an actual proper beer test for that.
That's superb.
And we've got about 15 guests lined up that Sam keeps messaging and then going off the radar.
So, Cole, you're a privileged man. The fact that I went through with this.
Oh, thank you, mate. No, I do appreciate it. But have you just had another kid just now then? Are you?
Yes, I had a baby early January. So, yeah, so a few months old. But yeah, he's been the most chilled out of all the children so far, which has been good. Like he sleeps well and he doesn't really cry. So it's been touch wood. It's been good so far.
Excellent, mate.
The other 35 will probably help.
I was going to say, you said it there like you've got a litter. Like how many?
Yeah. No, it's my third child. So sometimes when they wake each other up. That's just a no-go territory. Basically, one crying wakes the other one up. It's a bit nuts.
I can imagine. No, I stopped at 2. We're good with that. That's...
Yeah, you want to get to that's rookie numbers. Sam's going for 15, so
yeah, that's what I've given up the drink to concentrate just on this.
He wants a football team. He's not going to stop until it's done.
Absolutely brilliant.
Cole, I've got to shoot, but thanks you so much for coming on. And yeah, let's make this a regular thing.
Perfect.
0% drop could do with another host.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Good
yes, guys. Have a good weekend. All right.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
We've got some diet plans, health scans, sugar bans, fitness fans, PTs, injuries, laying off the Chinese, ball games, gym chains, protein gains and skin tight tops, and we ain't gonna stop until we hit the 50k. Drop, no excess fat, no FAT, no curry back, no guarantee. Rough or buff, lean on me, we'll end up as fit as a pig.